Yeah, hi folks. Now, there are some people in New Zealand who have this deluded notion that Sean Plunkett is some kind of controlled opposition or a left-wing stooge of some kind, which couldn't be further from the truth. Now, having said that, I have seen him stuff up a few times. But the reality is this: there are only a couple of journalists in New Zealand willing to stand up and cover issues that go against the mainstream narrative, and they are Peter Williams and Sean Plunkett. Now, if you disagree, please tell me who else is covering this story in New Zealand.
Before we go to our next guest, and I highly recommend you go on to the app and read this piece by Graham Adam, one of our best writers. But let me read the opening few paragraphs of his article, Hey Presto, 3 Waters Becomes 5 Waters. Nanaia Mahuta must not be able to believe her good luck in being blessed with the most gullible and incurious mainstream media any quiet revolutionary could hope for. Her good luck has continued after Parliament's Finance and Expenditure Committee dumped its report on 3 Waters into the public arena last Friday afternoon. Such timing is normally seen by journalists as a screaming red flag that the government wants to bury contentious information. The New Zealand Herald undoubtedly thought it was onto the subterfuge. It quickly published an article that revealed co-governance had survived the Select Committee process despite widespread opposition expressed in more than 88,000 written submissions. Senior writer Thomas Coughlan commented similarly in a tweet. The 200-page Select Committee report on 3 Waters only mentions 3 dissenting views, National at Green. Labor's view can't even bring itself to use the term co-governance once. And Graham goes on to write, the New Zealand Herald is correct to point out it's certainly news, but it's also completely predictable news. And Graham then says this, even blind Freddie could see that Mahuta was never going to give up on the fundamental element of the reforms. Since the beginning, the minister has made co-governance a non-negotiable bottom line in any discussion of changes to 3 Waters. So I recommend the rest of that piece to you. And I was alerted to this actually Saturday, when a friend of the program and our pinch hitter for almost any show we've got, Tina Nixon, rang me. And Tina's well placed to talk about this stuff. She's been involved in local body politics a long time. She's been involved in journalism a long time, and she's involved in a Murray Trust. So Tina, to me, knows a lot in practical terms about what's going on with 3 Waters and how current relationships and what you might call co-governance work. So I thought we'd get Tina on the program now. G'day you, how are you?
I'm very good, Sean.
All right. Graham's used the headline, 3 Waters Becomes 5 Waters. Is that what's happening here? And what does he mean when he says that?
So basically, under Clause 4 of the bill, which is to give effect to mana o te wai, which is basically like the sanctity of water, described by, and as Māori understand it. So the whole ethos behind this basically is Māori have a special relationship with water, and this bill enshrines that. And it means that everything that is done with water must first go through the lens of iwi and iwi alone. And so that's the thing that I find...
Well, that's not even co-governance, is it?
No, and that's the thing that I've been keeping saying to people. And to be fair, I tried to add some balance on the program when I was on last week and used Ra Smith, who is a kaumātua in the Wairarapa, and he gave his other view, which he says, yes, we do have, they're already doing some elements of Te Mana o te Wai with the regional council, and they formulate their ideas, then they go back to the community and test them, and then they go back into the fray, basically. But the problem is a good iwi will do that, but this opens the way for an iwi who is trying to get some special advantages to be able to do that. And I'm not comfortable with that at all.
Okay.
Now, before continuing with Tina, I think it's important you see the following, as it may help you understand where she's coming from. Now, I recorded this yesterday. Now, this is Dr. Jason Smith, the former mayor of Kaipara, and he was the first to break this story, and much of what Tina refers to was also covered by him. Final Water Services Entities Bill has extraordinary new development highlighted below. Now, after all, Three Waters is all about all the land and 50 miles out to sea. It's not about broken water pipes close to home. We've been played an old-fashioned bait and switch. Now, these are the actual recommendations from the Select Committee for the Final Water Services Entities Bill. And I will post an image of this as Tina discusses it, so you'll know exactly where she's coming from, what she's referring to.
So this gives more power. This is past co-governance. This is giving...
It is past co-governance, and to be frank, and I've been pretty honest about this, I don't have a huge problem with co-governance.
Now, I don't agree with that at all. Co-governance of any kind is separatism, and it leads to this kind of BS that's going on right now.
I've sat in a number of institutions where co-governance works really well, and actually it works really well often in the commercial setting where Māori are involved, and if you get them involved right from the outset, some good things can happen. What this is another whole level, again, where you have one group who have now an enshrined right to have an exclusive say over water. And the interesting thing is under the Water Entities Bill that everything, and in the Resource Management Act, everything must be must give effect to the treaty, not take into account the treaty like it used to be. It must give effect to the treaty.
But the treaty is only a set of principles. Well, gosh, this is so interpretive.
And it probably would have been useful to have Stephen Franks on this morning too, and I think he offers another.
We'll get him on. I don't imagine the story will be a one.
Yeah, the other one is Andreas from Castalia. So he's developed the alternative model for Three Waters.
Okay, look, the other thing is the scope of this. Tina, I'm doing the interview now. The other thing is the scope of the water and the catchments that are covered in the report back. Yes. Has that increased?
Yes, it has. And that was I'm the nerdy one on Friday reading the whole damn report, and I got to about page 25 and started ringing people because that's where it says, and this is direct from the paper. We also consider that Te Mana Ōtiwai statement should apply to all water bodies, and the water service entities, that's the big balumbas that are going to manage everything, should give effect to these statements. To this effect, we recommend inserting clause 4.4 to state that Te Mana Ōtiwai applies to freshwater, coastal water, and geothermal water. And that was that holy shit moment, really. And I thought, wow, this is just like way big. And on Friday, I was like you. I was watching all of the media waiting for this to blow, and it didn't blow. And I was just like, what the hell is happening here? Whether you agree with it or not, this is a fundamental change to the way we operate our natural environment for the betterment of all communities, and no one's picked it up. What are the ramifications of this? How the hell did that happen? No one I saw in any submissions raised this issue. So where did it come from?
Well, I just get the feeling William Gannon Ormsby must have been working on a secret report somewhere.
Well, the only other one who's been actually watching this issue as closely as I have, probably even more closely, is Jason Smith.
Yeah.
He's the ex-mayor of Kaipara, and he is well over this at the
Okay,
moment.
well, we'll get him on as well. But so what you're telling me, and I know we probably don't agree on co-governance, Tina, because I put my faith not in the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi, but the principles of equality before the law and universal enfranchisement that's got nothing to do with your race or who your parents or grandparents were.
Now, he doesn't sound very much like a lefty, does he?
But that aside, you're telling me that the report back is like a huge enhancement of all the controversial aspects of Three Waters.
Yeah, it is. And it's the first time, and please, if someone can correct me, it is the first time when Māori have been given a sole right over something to determine the impact of what is going to happen with water for the rest of the community.
Who says Māori have a special relationship with water?
Well, that is something that has gradually become accepted. And Stephen Franks and I have talked about this, and there's some constitutional issues being sort of played out at the moment. And we saw the tikanga thing with the Peter Ellis case suddenly come into play. And so there is a lot of the stuff that's actually happening, and they are fundamental changes to our law. And people aren't looking at ramifications. Now, if we get to a point where everyone goes, oh, yeah, no, this can actually work, and we understand that, I'm okay with that. But what I don't like is the fact that this stuff is sort of, there's sort of a subterfuge about it, and it's just sort of happening, and nobody's understanding what the implications are, and mainstream media are not picking it up, and so your general Joe Blow out there has no idea of what's happening and what's coming, and they're not having a say. This is going to become legislation. The House is probably going to go into urgency, and I noticed Chris Bishop was raising a flag on this the other day, and everyone's thinking that it'll be the Three Waters stuff that'll be around.
Yeah, well, I think we should rename it Five Waters.
It is definitely Five Waters now.
That's for sure. Yeah, so it's now clear, folks, that this radical government intends to take away all our water rights and hand over 100% control of it to Maori. Unbelievable. Anyway, folks, I posted all the relevant links below.